What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Shopper channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Leans. Likes. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Great content. Kind of alluded 2 games ago to Alperen Sengun triple-double. This is a weird thing that I'm thinking about. And obviously yesterday he eviscerated Victor Wembanyama. Just completely went berserk, had the game of his life, but of course didn't have a triple-double. What did he do in that first half? Damn near triple-double going up against the Clippers. He has 9, 13, and 7 at the 10-minute mark of the third quarter. And if he hits this plus 2,200 triple-double that I had the ticket for the day before, they lost all value today, that's at 1,500, and he does it today, I'm going to lose my mind. I know a lot of you don't care about stuff like that. Again, we're going to talk more like normal bets, bets that are more within the reasoning. Obviously, we're looking at expected value. We're going to talk a little bit of Odd Shopper, how we go about doing that, market-based approach, in conjunction with, like, again, trying to be early to some of these numbers, why I record the night before. We have Bet365 available in 9 states. You can sign up for that down below. It's only if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. But I'm ready to rock. If you're ready to rock, I think producer Jacob's ready to rock 7 games. 7 games on the docket here on a lovely Thursday. Alperen Sengun. Let's get to the fix. Game number 1, which always makes me think of like the Open Championship. Game number 1, now on the tee. Per Ulrik Johansson. Missed that guy. He died. It's sad. Check him up. Open Championship. Always the great announcers. But Brooklyn, -3 taking on Detroit here in the first game of the night. That's the right way of putting it. And, like, it's insane to see Detroit just within 3 of any team ever at any point in time. But that's what you get here with Brooklyn at their current iteration. Sure, Mikal Bridges, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe she. Kind of seems to be the Mikal Bridges story here. He can... This streak of games he has played is just absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. But still, want to at least point out Cam Thomas continues to be out. Got Ben Simmons continues to be out. Now Cam Johnson ends up being out here. Day'Ron Sharpe, questionable with that wrist injury. That's going to be an interesting one to see what happens. But overall, you already know by now, Detroit +3. I've been waiting for my opportunity to fire it up. I think I bring them up always, and I'm like, lean. I'm going to bet Detroit right from the get-go here. Brooklyn has been playing very, very poor, very, very bad basketball here of late. That's not great analysis. What is Detroit has been improved in terms of adjusted net rating. Now, they've gone from 29th to 28th, and Washington's played better, Charlotte's played better, but for them to not be in the doldrums is a huge plus. And when you just look at the depth of their team, not that they have any, like, ridiculously high caliber players besides Cade Cunningham and potentially Asar Thompson, and Jalen Duren's our boy, because again, he just is, but I just think you take 3 and run with it here, considering the injuries to this Brooklyn team. So yeah, for once, we're starting it off here. -110, +3 only at FanDuel at the moment, 2.5 everywhere else. I wouldn't be surprised if this closed at 2. 1.5. It is Detroit though, so tread lightly. I don't have a lot to bring up with this one. Minnesota +1 taking on Indy. I'm not going to really waste your time. You have Karl Anthony Towns out for this one. Huge piece of news that exists on the docket there, but I don't really believe that this is a good line, but like my data is saying otherwise, and I'm going to always trust the data over what I think in the back of my head. My Minnesota Timberwolves, they're number 1 in the West, or tied for number 1 in the West coming into tonight. Maybe OKC can pull ahead of them here, 43-19, but they could be tied at the top of the West by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, or, when you're listening to this on Thursday. But overall, the only thing that I'm remotely interested in is this total. We still are waiting on props because, again, Karl Anthony Towns out. It's going to have some ramifications. Naz Reid, I put him up to 27 minutes. I think that seems to be the right number, but Kyle Anderson gets the start in these spots. Conley, Edwards, McDaniels, Anderson, Gobert. That's still a much better starting 5 than Halliburton, Nembhard, Naismith, Siakam, and Turner. And then Benedict Mathurin. He continues to be out. Well, not continuing. This will be his first game he played against Dallas it was, and then he's going to be out here for this one. But again, it's not what I think, it's about what the data says, and it is telling me not to bet this. So cool, even though I would have put lean Minnesota +1 or money line here in that event. Under 229 though, that is something that I think if you wanted to fire up you could, but it feels a little bit thin on this 7 gamer, so I put it as a lean. Let's continue on our march. I'm very shocked also. Very shocked that I didn't end up on the Miami side of this one. 5 points. I'm getting 5 going into Dallas. And again, Dallas, Luka Doncic probable. Nice to see that finally come to fruition, but it's a perfectly healthy, efficient side on both ends of this. And that hasn't been the case here for a long time. We know Kevin Love and Tyler Hero are out, but what I'm getting at is that there's no questionable tags on Luka or anything else that could maybe hover this line down a little bit. And so +5 at the opening number. Again, I am surprised that I'm not going to be firing it up, but I guess I'm not surprised considering there's no injury news waiting in the wings. There is a total, though, that is waiting in the wings, and I think the over of 228 is something you want to add to your card. For one, Terry Rozier being your starting point guard, defensively not bringing a lot to the table. Duncan Robinson playing 35 minutes a game, not adding a lot to the defensive side of the ball. Jimmy Butler, and then Nikola Jovic, not adding a lot defensively. You can add a lot with the jabber and getting ejected. That's good times. But as I look at things, Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, those are your guys you want to play slow. And I mean, I guess because they're the main focal points of this team, there's that. But Dallas is going to push the pace. PJ Washington playing better and better here in a Dallas Mavericks uniform. Not that anybody would ever take off a Charlotte uniform and not look better immediately, but I see 228 being too low of a number. And again, nice to see the data in conjunction with it. And very surprised not to see Miami on the card, though, here. Pretty straightforward one here, and not anything that we want to dabble with too much. Toronto taking on Phoenix, and Jakob Poeltl had surgery today, so Kelly Olynyk, hey, how about that lock the other night? Felt pretty damn good. Obviously, we got burned by Philadelphia. Tyrese Maxey didn't even see him on the injury report, and then, hey, he's out with concussion symptoms. Really, is he now? Thanks, Philly. They've been the worst. I don't know why Nick Nurse hates us so much, but it is what it is. That was a bamboozlement there from Brooklyn, but as I look at the board for this one, friends, Agbaji is questionable here. He's been in that starting 5 for Toronto, but I mean, Phoenix, we have all late games here. There's going to be props that stick out to some extent, I would think, here. You continue to have Bruce Brown out for this one. And then, well, Scotty Barnes out for the season. Broke his hand. So that's a brutal one here for Toronto. The rest of the way, we're going to get some weird rotations. They're going to be punting on the season. And now Phoenix, this is probably their first walkover that they're going to run into here. A really good road win. Grayson Allen, Kevin Durant went berserk in that first half. And then the overtime, that shouldn't have happened. They were up a bazillion. But Phoenix has been playing better ball, and yet still, that 48.5 under ticket is looking really, really good. They still have the most difficult strength of schedule left, but this is obviously I got to call it a cinch. I mean, minus 520, like 80%. They lose like 1 out of 4, yeah. So there's that. Plus 390, we're not going to be betting Toronto. I'm not saying that by any means, but we could be betting Toronto plus 10.5 here. If this number moves to 11.5, it will be on the card, but I'm going to wait for the public to do their thing. If I miss the boat, I'm okay with it. If it moves to 10 to 9.5, such is life, but I don't think everybody's going to be betting that side of it. But Phoenix, unsustainable shooting against Denver. Grayson Allen goes out and hits, 6 first half threes? One of the dumber performances I've seen in a long time, and I'm a Duke fan. Look at this. Want to see something? See that Duke basketball in the corner? Yeah, it's chilling. It's doing its thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's got the entire Final Four team from Duke, 2001. I don't give a shit. Grayson Allen, I hated him in a Duke uniform, trying to trip everybody's ball sack. It was awful. Toronto plus 10.5. Hey, let's talk that 365. Super quick, super easy, my friends. There are 9 states: Arizona, Colorado, New Jersey, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia, and Louisiana. If you live in one of those 9, or if you're visiting one of those 9, congratulations. You can click on the link below, bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets from Bet365. No, really. That's it. That's the read. 5 into 150 seems good, huh? Again, only available in those 9 states, Arizona being the newest of them, but you go to the link below, bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets. It's kind of a no-brainer deal to check out an awesome sports book that has some of the best lines every single day. So that's really all I got for you. So if you're 21 and over, if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks we go. I was working through some rates here today, and obviously this is Boston and Denver. This is your prime game of the entire session, and I don't have an official play from it right now, but there's tons to talk about because there's potential plays that exist absolutely everywhere here. Boston, though, 1-point favorites on the road in Denver. Now, Denver, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope off of the injury report, yay. Jaylen Brown with a sacroiliac strain? Doesn't sound great, but he's questionable, so wanted to throw that out there. It has me a little bit gun-shy here to back Boston, even though my sheet, just like most people's sheets, are going to say Boston, the better team thus far. 48-13. Massive favorites to have the best record in the NBA come the end of the season. Not a terrible strength of schedule the rest of the way, but pretty decent. And Denver, well, they're 42-20. It's in Denver, and they have that Nikola Jokic character. They kind of won the title last year. And yet this is such a tough one to get a grasp on. I want to talk through, though, why it is that Nikola Jokic here in a triple-double situation makes a lot of sense. One, you're not running into a lot of games where Denver is at home, where you're going to have competitive game environments that are just kind of guaranteed. And when I'm saying guaranteed, like obviously there's outlier games where you're going to be up by 20 or down by 20 in these kind of spots. But like, how many times does Denver end up as dogs at home ever? Answer, this season, 0. So just throwing it out there, Nikola Jokic, if you're looking for certainty in minutes and certainty in opportunity, you're not going to get any other team showing up in Denver besides Boston that is going to elicit this type of a number. The other part is the rates with Jamal Murray. Now, they did not play a good first half against Phoenix, came roaring back in that second half, nifty stuff, was able to cover the 20.5 Jamal Murray. That was very, very useful to me at the time. But as I worked through some of the rates for Jokic, I do think that this game is one that I might want to get some exposure to his triple-double prop. Alongside Jamal Murray, continues to have the assist rate benefit this season. So it's actually been a little bit better at times this season. 40.7% assist rate under all circumstances, 42% over the last month and a half playing alongside Jamal Murray. 65% true shooting. We're not worried about points when we're talking triple-double, God forbid. But assist rate and then defensive rebound rate, 30.3%. The one thing, if you're going to talk about what does Boston have to do in order to be efficient come playoff time, they got to be better on the boards. They are 26th in offensive rebound rate given up here. So there are opportunities on the boards on the offensive end to have it show up. And then defensively, you look at the turnover rate, they're really not forcing teams into turnovers. The lowest turnover rate in the entire NBA, 11.2%. That generally it brings up clean looks, at least to some extent. And I mean, part of it is Boston ends up massive in some of these games, adjusted offensive rating, adjusted defensive rating, and they just play good defense without fouling. So turnover rate might be a little bit lower as a result, but all the things are pointing me towards if I get a plus 160 number or better on Jokic, which I expect for this spot, I will bet his triple-double. If Boston money line moves inside of minus 105, I would bet them there. But otherwise, this is a tough one. I'm going to watch it. You're going to watch it. We all want to bet it. I think Joker triple-double, it's not surprising. We rode that to the promised land at the tail end of last year. Hasn't been on the card nearly as much this season. But again, part of it was the Jamal Murray worrisome, hey, he's healthy for the first time in a long time. And they did kind of slowly acclimate him back. But either way, yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. To my favorite spot of the entire card, and again, it's just going to be a one-unit play, so it is what it is. Chicago, Golden State here in this one. Chicago getting 7. Both these teams will be on a back-to-back, and both those games are about to start here, and yet we get an early line. Chicago's up a little bit here on Utah in the early going, and we're just about to get to tip here of the Milwaukee Golden State game. Golden State, though, not having to change facilities. Chicago going from playing at altitude in Utah to going to take on Golden State, and we know that they run their starters out lots and lots of minutes. Let's talk through Golden State's bench because they just got Andrew Wiggins back today. Yay! That's going to be enjoyable to watch here. I know that there's risk to have a Klay Thompson end up being a guy who, coming off the bench, maybe they can reduce his minutes, but might be live to sit on the back-to-back. They get Podziemski back. He had been out there, with the right knee inflammation deal, but he will be starting tonight. So that's an opportunity to maybe reduce his minutes, considering you have Moody back on the bench and played well enough that maybe he sees more than the 8 or 10 minutes you might project him for in most spots previous to some of these injuries. And then I look at Chris Paul back playing, 22, 24 minutes. You can limit his minutes against Chicago here in this spot or limit them the night before against Milwaukee just enough that he can play on the back-to-back. Chicago, you don't get that luxury. They play these dudes an eternal amount of minutes, and as I'm projecting it here, I still have DeRozan and White and DeSumo and Vooch and Caruso all playing 30-plus minutes, high 30s for the likes of the aforementioned DeRozan, White, DeSumo, and Vooch. They are on the back-to-back. And yeah, 7, it's kind of baked into the number ever so slightly. but it should move. This will close higher than 7 here, barring any crazy kind of like rest situation for Steph or anything like that. But considering the record for both of these teams, and I think that this is kind of the crucial element to it, Chicago at 29-32 entering tonight. You know, if they beat Utah 30-32, 9th in the East. Golden State is 10th, 32-28. They don't get the luxury because of the Western Conference and its strength of doing anything but going balls to the wall. So if this game gets played straight up like I expect it to, I see this closer to 8.5, 9. Now, this is not a massive expected value spot. This is not a jam spot like a normal lock, but it's a lock nonetheless. I put a unit on it. Come join me for the party. Again, lean, something I'm thinking about betting alike, half unit to a unit, and then these locks, unit or more. This falls on the lower end of that spectrum. So Golden State -7. I expect good things here. We'll watch the Milwaukee game. Hopefully there's no injury news that ends up biting me there, but got my sprinkle on it. Come join me. Golden State -7. Best play as of right now for Thursday. And oh my God, this is 8.5, but Victor Wembanyama right before we started recording got ruled out, and this number is not on the board, and it is going to go to places that you can't even imagine, which is why I put Sacramento by a lot. Sure, Sacramento's on the back-to-back, but like, I'm very curious where this number opens. If it's inside of 12, I'm probably going to have to bet Sacramento, and I hate backing Sacramento, even though, again, notice how this used to be like 5 or 6 game difference. We have been betting against them successfully for the last month and a half, 2 months. It has been enjoyable. And yet it's the Wembanyama list. San Antonio Spurs. Zach Collins is going to probably play well, but like, this is a really tough one to handicap. Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. And that does it for a quick and easy version of Eric's. Well, no, that's not what it is. Lindy's, leans, likes, and locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite. It's my name. It is what it is. Go to the comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist here on the board for Thursday's slate. Again, going to be some prop exposure that shows up in the premium Discord. If you have been tagging along with me on TikTok, you have absolutely been on the heater of a lifetime in the Pick'em streets for Prize Picks, for Underdog, and for DraftKings Pick 6. So check that all out on TikTok at Lindy's Locks, Lindys LOCKS. Follow me on Twitter at Eric Lindquist. Yeah, or X or whatever the hell they're calling it these days. Hi, Elon. Don't hurt me. Anyway, guys, let's get ourselves out of here. Thank you, producer Jacob. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Thursday.